Good morning, Tampa. It is Saturday morning, and you're listening to AM 820, the Big 8 Tampa, and this is another episode of Let's Go Low with your host, Jeff Stanislow from Golfers Unite. We are talking with our famed caddy corner, Mr. Mike Hicks, who is Payne Stewart's caddy, and we're going to spend this segment just talking about Payne and talking about some of the things that, the relationship, the love of the game, the passion of the game, and working with Payne Stewart, during his lifetime. And so, Mike, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me, buddy.
So you told the story kind of how you met. You were overseas, and I believe you said that he had a caddy come up to him and was wearing the knickers and the hat, and you're like, oh man, this probably isn't going to work out. Tell us a little story how you guys met.
So we were in Japan. I mean, I knew Payne from 1982 till I started caddying for him in 87, because one of my closest friends at the time, a guy named Rob Kay, who I traveled a lot with, was caddying for Payne. And so I knew Payne. And I was in Japan with Curtis Strange, and Payne had fired Rob, and we didn't know who was going to show up in Japan with his bag. So this guy named Tim Davies, who was an assistant pro at some course in Jacksonville, Florida, shows up in Japan, and in the first round, he comes out in full knicker garb. So he's got the knickers on, the socks, the scanty hat, the whole 9 yards. And we're like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know how this is going to fly with old Painter.
The twinsies strategy probably
he wasn't wearing the same outfit, but I don't know how Payne took that. I never asked him. But this guy had never caddied before. So we were at a function in Japan, and we're, caddies, players, everybody's there. We're having beers and dinner. And so I went up to him. I said, hey, listen, if this guy doesn't work out, I'd like a shot at the bag, because I was caddying for Curtis on a part-time basis. Me and one other guy named Don Wanstall. I worked half the tournaments, and Donnie worked half the tournaments. But whenever Curtis went out of the country, for some reason, he took me. So I was kind of sick of that. I was ready for, something full-time where I could make a schedule, not have to find off-week bags and that kind of stuff. So I said, hey, if it doesn't work out with this guy, I'd like a shot at the bag. Well, it didn't work out. Payne comes to me and says, hey, let's give it a month and see how it goes. And that month turned into 12 years. We top 10'd at all 4 weeks. Could have won 2 of those 4. And I got that job. Payne was, such a great player, but he could not close the deal. He had trouble winning. He could get right there, but on Sunday afternoon, the last 9 holes, he would spit the bit, so to speak. But he started working with Dr. Richard Coop, sports psychologist at North Carolina. And that happened. That he started with him about 6 weeks in our relationship. And Dick, I lived in North Carolina. Dick was at the University of North Carolina. When Payne would come to visit, we did the sessions at Hope Valley Country Club in Durham, and I went to all the sessions. So I would just reiterate to Payne what Dick was trying to get him to do, and the rest is history. 3 majors later, and that's the biggest reason Payne Stewart became the player that he was because of Dick Coop.
That's an interesting story. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. And we're talking with Mike Hicks, who was on Payne's bag for 12 years. Talking about some inside stuff, the things that you don't, hear that don't make the broadcast. And this episode's brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com, and Mike Hicks Golf, MikeHicksGolf.com. If you guys are doing a special event, an outing, or you got a club championship, you want Mike to be on a bag for your 50th birthday or, 75th birthday or whatever it is, go to MikeHicksGolf.com and maybe you guys can make that happen. But Mike, let's just talk about the knickers. Where did that come from? Where, he came up with it. He must have thought about it, or why did he?
It was actually his father. His father was a salesman, furniture salesman, and his father was a very loud dresser. He believed, the louder you dressed, the more attention that you would create for yourself. And he was right. So I think it was 82. Payne won it up in Quad Cities, Illinois. He shows up on the range the first round. He was wearing Arias clothing, I think it was. And there was 3 other guys on the range warming up, had the same outfit on that he did. And he's like, we got to do something about this. So I guess I think he just went and tracked down a knickers outfit and wore that on Sunday of that week, won the tournament, and that's what he wore the rest of his playing career.
And never looked back. Yep.
And listen, I'll say this. It was a perfect disguise because everybody, associated Payne Stewart with his dress, right? The knickers, the hat, the gold tip shoes, that stuff. He could go out at night. He was just another pretty blonde in the crowd. Nobody knew who he was.
If he puts the knickers on and the hat's a different story. But
Payne Stewart, but he could do anything. Whereas lots of people could never do that.
Sure.
The Shark, he couldn't do it. The Tiger obviously couldn't do it. Jack, Arnold, Payne obviously didn't get that big, but everybody associated Payne Stewart with the knickers.
Yeah. So when did you know it was going to work with Payne? When did you kind of say this is going to work? I mean, you're obviously, it happened fast. So
yeah, well, I think probably the 5th week. No, I shouldn't say that. It was probably the 7th tournament that I caddied for him. He had just started working with Dr. Coop. And we're playing in a off, there was a I don't know if it was a major, it was some big invitational tournament or something that he was not in. And he hadn't qualified for it. I can't remember what it was, but he was playing in Chattanooga, Tennessee at this lower tier tournament. And on Sunday, he was leading the tournament. Sunday, we get behind after 9 holes. And I said to him, look, get your putts to the hole. You're leaving everything short. I said, you can fire me right now, but, let's at least give yourself a chance to make the putts. Get them to the hole. And
you can put whoever you want on the bag, and if you ain't getting the putt there, it ain't going in. So.
Listen, I stuck my neck out there by saying something to him at the turn. And, as it turns out, he putted well in the back 9, got in a playoff, ended up losing to Phil Blackmore, who made about an 80-footer on the first playoff hole for us to lose. And but he thanked me after that for kicking him in the butt. That's what he said. He said, "Thank you for kicking me in the ass there." He said, "I needed that." And right then I knew that, I was going to be able to, say stuff to him that, some other caddies might not take the chance to do and wasn't going to get fired for it. You know what I'm saying? So I think, probably after 2 months, I knew that it was going to work out. I mean, we just meshed. We got along. We were, a lot in common, and it was just a good marriage.
Yeah, fantastic. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, the Big 8 radio in Tampa. We're talking with Mike Hicks, and we're talking about Payne Stewart. And Mike is great to talk to him about on the bag with 11 years. So some really good insights. What was Payne like in the locker room? What was his vibe around the other players and, the tournament hosts and stuff?
Well, there was no in between with Payne. You either loved him or hated him. There were a lot of guys did not like Payne Stewart. He would like to needle people. I mean, I watched him needle Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer.
Oh, man.
Arnold Palmer, after Payne Stewart won the 89 PGA in Chicago, we got on an airplane and we flew to Portland, Oregon to play in an event that Peter Jacobson used to have every year. It was called Peter's Party. It was a 2-day event in Portland, Oregon. And it was just for, for really good players. Anyway, Arnold played every year because Peter and Arnold were tight. But the night of the auction on Monday night, there's probably 5,000 people there at this auction. And Payne is feeling no pain, if you know what I'm saying. So he's auctioning off his Bears outfit that he just won the PGA in. And he's got the Wanamaker trophy up there. And Arnold Palmer is sitting in the front row and in front of 5,000 people. Payne Stewart looks down and says, "Hey, Arnold, don't you wish you had one of these?" Because Arnold never won the PGA.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So the king, he did that.
To the king. Wow.
So Payne is, look, Curtis Strange, same birth date as Payne. I've watched them roll around on an airplane in first class, drunk out of their minds in a fight, but it was more of a wrestling match. Curtis couldn't stand Payne. But if you could take the needle and you could give it back to him, he enjoyed that. You either loved him or hated him. But it's just a jokester, liked to have fun, just a super nice guy. But if you couldn't take a needle, you didn't like Payne Stewart.
Yeah, exactly. He could take it, he could dish it out, but it was just part of, the man he was. And
That's right. That's right.
Now, speaking of being a jokester, he did like impressions and stuff like that. My understanding. Did he do any, impressions for you, or is that just kind of like more in private?
No, he wasn't much of an impressionist. I never saw that. Practical joker. Yes. Azinger holds a bunker shot at Memorial to beat us at Jack's place, and Zinger's doing the media, and Payne stuffs bananas in his street shoes that he's going to wear out of the locker room. Stuffs it with bananas, stuff like that. I mean, he was just a jokester. Impressionist, though, he wasn't much of an impressionist.
We only got another minute or so left, Mike, and maybe we'll do another segment and talk a little bit more about Payne as the family man, and right. the Payne Stewart Family Foundation does some amazing work. You're going to be out talking more about the stories to our second annual Cars and Cocktails event. It's going to be held on September 11th. We're doing a special remembrance that evening at Avila from 6 to 9 p.m. September 11th. Mike is going to come out. If you're interested and want to learn some more, want some tickets, you can go to appreciateyourservice.org. Again, appreciateyourservice.org. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low, and we're talking about Payne Stewart with his caddy, Mike Hicks. So what, when you were joking with him, it's like, how was it on the course? Was it jovial? Was it like you guys knew when it was time to get serious? Things of that nature.
Yeah, look, he's like pretty much every other professional golfer other than Lee Trevino, who Lee never shut up the whole time he was out there. Some people like playing with Lee, some people didn't. I mean, it would get old if you played too much with Lee because he never shut up. Most of those guys, there's not a lot of small talk going on. Even if you notice Scottie and Sam Burns, they weren't walking down the fairway chatting it up, right?
Right.
This is their job. Those guys are best friends. You're trying to beat one another as competitors. So, there was not a lot of joking and small talk going on. Never was. And then there really isn't in the professional golf world when you're playing a tournament round.
Well, fantastic. Mike Hicks, thanks for joining us once again on the Let's Go Low show. We are going to have some more talk about Payne at a future episode. Maybe we'll get into like the famous punch. We'll talk about Pinehurst, some of those, wonderful victories, get a little bit more on Payne's insights and the great things that the Payne Stewart Family Foundation do, with remembrance of Payne. But if you guys want to listen to Mike speak, he's going to be in Tampa on September 11th for a special Remembrance second annual Cars and Cocktails at Avila Country Club. You can visit appreciateyourservice.org for event information and tickets, or just Google Appreciate Your Service and you'll find us right away. Mike, thanks again for joining us on Let's Go Low.
You got it, Jeff. Thanks, buddy.
Good morning, Tampa. It is time to go low. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. It must be Saturday morning, and we're having a great time today. We got Mike Hicks back with our Caddy Corner, and we got a lot of PGA Tour news to talk about. So we are in week 2 of the FedEx Cup race for the big bucks, and we just came off of Scottie's fantastic Memphis win at the St. Jude Classic, where he made 69 of the best players in the world look like a Tuesday scramble. Man, he was on fire. So now the field's down to 50 and we got 2 weeks to go, and 20 guys are not about to give it up. And so, Mike, thanks for joining us once again. Let's talk a little bit about the PGA Tour and some golf.
All right, you got it.
So what do you think about Scottie's performance? I think it was a long overdue breakout, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you watched it, I mean, he got the breaks where he hadn't been getting the breaks and the bounces. And he putted well. He putted consistently for 4 days. So, and then there's your result, wins by 8. It was a Sunday's round, just nobody, within a couple or 3 or 4 of them, they all shot over par. I mean,
yeah, I know that's crazy.
And nobody put any pressure on him at all. So, I mean, that helped. And then the fact that, he wasn't feeling any pressure from anyone and he was getting the bounces and the breaks. And I think it just freed him up and, he putted great. So that's the result when he putts.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been there all year long and is just waiting for that breakout. But I think, those, starting off, playing well on Sunday and then just having the whole field just like falter. It was just like, oh my gosh, it's like, talk about a couple bounces and breaks. That's the game of golf. But that pressure just came right off, and instantly you can't give a guy of Scottie Scheffler's capabilities, that relief.
Yeah,
so
that's
sure.
right.
So, 61 on Friday, a great round.
With two bogeys.
With 2 bogeys. Yeah, exactly. It was good to see Scottie. It's good for the game. What, in the tournament last week, what kind of surprised you? I saw Sam Burns was right there and what goes through those guys' mind on a Sunday when all of a sudden they just start off that way?
Well, in Sam's defense, he had 3 weeks off and he admitted he didn't do much as far as practice goes. He probably took a couple of weeks off. He's got a newborn, so he was home with the family. And he probably started hitting balls and chipping and putting the week before. So he was a little rusty, and it kind of showed on Sunday. And then he admitted he drove it horrible all week. I don't know what percentage of fairways he missed or hit for the week, but it wasn't very good. And it finally caught up to him on Sunday. So, but he still had a great finish for not playing for 3 weeks and really not touching his clubs for probably 2 of those 3 weeks. And listen, that's a tough golf course, especially if you're not hitting fairways. If you're hitting it in the rough there, you're not going to hit it on the greens very close to the hole. It's one of the better TPCs they play. Always love that course. It's a challenging place. And so, look at the scores. I mean, Scottie's 17 under, and then, if Scottie wasn't there, 9 under wins the tournament, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, you're a caddy, your guy, is in the lead on Sunday, like Scottie. What's going through his mind and what's going through your mind, just, from, a strategy perspective, before the first tee on Sunday morning, if you're in that position with Scottie.
Well, I mean, you got a 2-shot lead. So, anything obviously can happen with just a 2-shot lead. So you're just going to try and go out and do what you've been doing. You're not going to change your game plan. You're not going to change the holes that you attack and the holes that you don't, depending on pin positions. But then as the round went on and you saw that, the guys that were right there chasing were struggling, then it's all about just, let's just don't do anything stupid, right?
Right.
And Scottie, he really didn't play defense. He kept the pedal to the metal. I mean, if you watch it, the guy hits the ball pin high more than anybody ever has played the game, and that includes Tiger. It is just ridiculous how pin high every hole his ball is pin high. And he didn't really take his foot off the gas. He kept his foot on the gas and just lengthen the lead, which is, when you're caddying out there and you see your guy doing that, you're just loving life.
Exactly. So the first time this year he held a 54-hole lead, and now he's 11 for 11 when he's converting with an outright 54 lead. That's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That really is. That's tough. Because it's hard to sleep on the lead. But the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, and 11 for 11 says he sleeps pretty good at night, huh?
Right.
This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. This episode is brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. You guys can check out the website. We got great deals and hookups on all things golf, great information, and more to come at golfersunite.com. And our also sponsor is Mike Hicks himself. You can go to MikeHicksGolf.com. Mike is available if you guys have a special event, you need a guest speaker at a charity outing, or you got a club championship and you want to bring Mike out on your bag for a special occasion. Check out MikeHicksGolf.com, and he's available to do that. So Mike, $3.6 million out of the $20 million purse. He passed Rory for the second on the career money list. And he's only about $1 million short from passing Tiger for the number one spot on that money list from since February of 2000. What an incredible career. And now we're going to the next phase of the FedEx Championship Series, and we're heading to the BMW Championship in Bellerive Country Club in St. Louis this coming weekend. They're on the Saturday moving day right now as you're listening to this. Let's talk a little bit about the BMW Championship, and what are your thoughts on that course? And we'll maybe talk a little bit about the guys that didn't quite make it, that are sitting there in the 51st and 52nd position. So,
Bellerive can play tough. I'm sure the rough will be up. Depends on how firm it is. It looks like they've had tons of rain through the Midwest. St. Louis, I'm not sure how much they've gotten, but I know everybody right around them has gotten a ton of rain. So if it's soft, and this time of year, you're not going to get much wind up there. So it'll be throwing darts if it's soft. And when they're throwing darts and there's no wind, you know what happens there. So it'll be a putting contest again. And, Bellerive, I've been there a couple times. I was there in 2001 when 9/11 hit. I was doing a practice round that Monday morning. I was caddying for Justin Leonard. And we teed off, made the turn, and we're inside the clubhouse getting a drink and something to eat. And that, 9/11 is going on and planes going into buildings. And we're like, what the heck is going on? And Justin Leonard and Mark Calcavecchia were like, well, let's just go play the back nine. I looked at both of them. I said, you guys really think we're playing golf this week? I said, we're under attack right now. I said, we're not playing golf this week. They said, what do you mean? I said, trust me, this tournament will not be played this week. And within 24 hours, they had, canceled the tournament. I had to drive a rental car from St. Louis all the way back to North Carolina because, nobody could fly. But that's where I was. I was at Belle Reef when 9/11 hit.
Yeah, speaking of 9/11, blessed to have you come out to a special event that we're hosting at Avila Country Club on 9/11 the evening. It's Cars and Cocktails, the second annual. Mike is going to be our keynote speaker and talking about Payne Stewart and his experience celebrating what Payne does for this country and the veterans and what have you, and also a remembrance of the 25th anniversary. It is 9/11 from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at Avila Country Club. You can go to appreciateyourservice.org if you want to check it out. We have tickets available, sponsorships available. Again, appreciateyourservice.org. And thank you again, Mike, for coming out and sharing that special, tragic moment, but also, a special remembrance for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Jeff.
So, moving back to the tour, Kashmir Keith, number 51, not making it on, didn't close the last couple holes out very well. What's going through his mind right now?
I think he only missed by like a couple of points or something too. Wasn't it something stupid? I mean, it was really close, right? One shot, I think, or something.
Yep, it was. Yep, we finished 51st, and I think he was like one or two shots, different.
And you 100% when he got on that airplane to fly home Sunday night, he's looking back at all the stupid shots that he wasted.
Yeah.
And they're probably ordered in order in his mind. Why did I do that? How could I have done that? Continuing on, I'm sure it was a rough plane ride for him home Sunday night.
Yeah, these guys probably revisit every shot, every swing, especially in that position when
100%.
And then the caddy's like, oh, he's doing the same things. Like, did I give him the right number on that? You know what I mean? It's like, he took my advice and didn't work out here, but he didn't take my advice and it didn't work out. And so it's got to be quite the mental.
You're playing what ifs the whole way home.
Yep, exactly. So let's, after the BMW, we got East Lake, which is the August 27th to the 30th. And Tommy Fleetwood is the defending champion for the FedEx Cup. And then we go from the top 50 this weekend to the top 30 for East Lake. So it's going to be a fantastic, season finish. Ricky Fowler, sitting 30th, a couple points ahead against Gary Woodland. So they're going to be in the mix. And then Alex Noren, went from, on the bubble of even making it to the BMW to 30th. So, he's playing some good golf. Obviously Scottie's locked in at number one and what have you. But as you're looking towards the close, maybe who do you like this weekend? Scottie going to continue? Rory really had some problems last weekend, but maybe he was just getting the dust off, like you mentioned, because I think in our previous episode you said you'd be surprised if he played, but it was a long time off, so he played.
Yeah. I look for Rory to play a little better for sure, but look, the bottom line is if Scheffler putts, if he putts, he seems to always hit it good enough to win, right? So if he makes putts, they're all playing for second again. So, uh, look for the same names, really. The guys, uh, SW Kim, Siwoo's playing good. He seems to be very consistent each week. He's up there. Sung Jae seems to have his game going. He seems to be playing pretty good lately each week. And I'm sure you'll have somebody, in the 40s that'll, find lightning in a bottle and play well and possibly play themselves into East Lake. I mean, you always have that. So, but again, if Scottie strikes the ball the way he's struck it all year and the putter cooperates, seems like the bounces went his way last week. And when that happens one week, it usually you get in a little run there where you start getting some bounces. And if that's the case, then I think they all play for second again.
Yeah, he's definitely playing well. So, Mike, that's it for the Caddy Corner this week. This is brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. This is Jeff Stanislaw, your host of the Let's Go Low show. Always remember that you can visit Mike on his website at MikeHicksGolf.com. If you are interested in maybe having him look at your putting stroke in a virtual, or you want to book him for a class or a speaking engagement or review a product, check out MikeHicksGolf.com. And if you are in Tampa and you're interested in coming and seeing Mike speak at our 9/11 event, the second annual Appreciate Your Service Cars and Cocktails event, you can find more information at appreciateyourservice.org. Mike, thanks again, and look forward to having you back.
Thank you, brother. Thanks.
Hello, Tampa. This is Jeff Stanislaw, and you're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, the Big 8 Radio. And today we have our friend Richie Lyons with us. Richie and I are working on a pretty big event that's coming up. It is going to be the Creator Cup. It's Golfers Unite Creator Cup in partnership with Richie and our friends at Tamarack Golf and Ski Resort. We're really excited about it. Richie, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on again. And I apologize for the background. I'm in a hotel in San Antonio working. So,
well, that's okay. Nobody knows this. You're on the radio, so you're good, my friend.
Very true.
So we are planning, in essence, what I call a preview event or scout event for internet creators called, the Creators Cup. It's going to be brought to you by Tamarack and Golfers Unite. And you suggested Tamarack, and the reason why is you have some family members that own the resort. And so we're really excited about it. And when I first took a look at their website, it looked amazing. And so I was on board instantly. And so we're really excited. So those people that are listening, it's going to be held on September 25th. It's going to be a one-day event. It's in Donnelly, Idaho, which is just about 90 miles outside of Boise. So we're really excited about that. Richie, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tamarack, so the people that are listening that may be able to attend and join us at the Creator Cup would, give them reasons to come and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tamarack is honestly a beautiful, beautiful resort in Idaho. Like you said, it's outside of Boise, probably like 2 hours. It is actually America's only ski, lake, and golf resort. So they have a lot to offer there through all seasons. And Osprey Meadows, one of their courses, or their only course, actually is rated the #1 public course in Idaho. And it's a gorgeous course. There's going to be nothing like it for the Creator Cup to play in September, right? With all that beautiful mountain scenery and changes of leaves and whatnot.
We're really excited about it. Again, it's September 25th. It's going to be a one-day event. We'll talk a little bit more about the details in a minute, but if you guys want to check it out, you can just visit some information on Tamarack. The website is tamarackidaho.com. It's tamarackidaho.com. And if you want information on the event itself, you can go to golfersunite.com/creator cup. That's golfersunite.com/creator cup. So, Richie, you mentioned this great resort, and it's going to be in the fall. The weather we're expecting to be beautiful, a nice and cool fall day up in the mountains.
Yep.
Osprey Meadows being the #1 rated golf course in Idaho. So, if some people are looking to get their #1s off their bucket list, definitely check it out. What, let's talk a little bit about what, a little bit more about Tamarack and what else they have. So you said they have ski, they have a lake, they have a marina. Let's give them more reasons to check out the destination at tamarackidaho.com.
They do. So they do have a marina. You can go, you can take a boat there. You can go boating in Lake Cascade, which is a gorgeous lake. You can go fishing there as well. You can go golfing. You can take the family there. You can go mountain hiking, biking. You can do zip lining, in the winter months. And then obviously when winter comes, you can get some beautiful, amazing skiing off your list.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the website. I'm really fired up. I've never been to Idaho before, and I know it's a beautiful area, and this Tamarack Resort looks absolutely incredible. So let's talk about Osprey Meadows, the #1 rated golf course in Idaho, ranked. Everybody supports their Visit Idaho, and I think Golf Digest ranked it #1. And so it's a beautiful 18-hole course, and you got a chance to play it before. Tell us a little bit about the track itself.
It's a beautiful course. Man, it's laid out perfectly. It's manicured well. Greens are nice and fast. It's not the easiest course in the world. It's not the hardest. I mean, it's going to give you a run for the money, which is I think what a lot of golf creators like. Something that's going to present the challenge to them. Hello?
So
what happened there? Yeah, I don't know what happened.
We lost you for a second. It's okay. So Osprey Meadows is an incredible golf course in Donnelly. It wraps around Lake Cascade. If you guys want to check it out, it's tamarackidaho.com, and it is amazing. And then if you're interested in finding out more about the Creator Cup, you can go to golfersunite.com/Creator Cup. Richie and I are putting this one-day event on, and we're really excited about it. So, Richie, let's talk a little bit about the format we're going to do an individual stroke play, right?
Individual stroke play in teams of 2, correct?
Well, you can pair up as a team, but it's going to be an individual one. We might put them up in teams. It just depends on how we get. If we want to do a team format day of, we can decide that. But it's going to be a low. We're going to have an award for low net and low gross. Everybody's going to play their own ball, and any ties are going to go play the 19th hole for closest to the pin, re-hitting until we got a winner. And that's going to be a fantastic finish. And then we're going to have a dinner after.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be like, it's probably going to be like any golf tournament that you would go to in general, but this one's going to be a little bit different. I think there's going to be more competition. Obviously, the scenery is going to be a little bit better. Not only that, I think the golf community that we're trying to build behind it, right, and to keep this momentum going is really what's going to make this a difference as well.
Yeah, so save the date, September 26th. Actually, don't save it. Start booking it. Go to golfersunite.com/Creator Cup.
That's true. We only have limited spots, so once we hit 24, no more.
Well, yes. And what's exciting, though, what we do want to do is have you save the dates for July 24th, or excuse me, July 22nd through the 24th in 2027, where we're going to be doing a large creator invitational, but it's going to have a little bit of twist. We want families to come out for this one because Tamarack has so much to offer. There's a lot of these tournaments being held for content creators, golf content creators, but we want a little bit different twist because we want them to bring their whole family. There's zip lining, there's a marina with boats, you can water ski, you can go mountain biking. They have the lifts open up in the summer that will take you to the top of the mountain. It's fantastic. And I think there's a restaurant up top there too, isn't it?
There's a mid-mountain restaurant up there, which is, I believe, where we're actually going to have the reception after this tournament. So that's where we're going to have our dinner. So yeah, we take the lift chairs up there, and we're just going to have a good time.
Fantastic. So the again, that's September 25th of this year at Tamarack, the Osprey Meadows golf course. It's tamarackidaho.com if you want to check out the resort. And if you are interested in playing, if you're a content creator or, golf or not golf, we have limited spots available. You can find that at golfersunite.com/creator cup. That's /creator cup. And there's great information on there. And to boot, the round of golf is for free, right, Richard?
It is. Golf's been comped, and actually the lodge and some of the accommodations have been discounted about 35% to try to get some people out there. Again, we're trying to build a golf community, right, of creators, have some fun, see how this turns out, see how many more of these we can do, and just we're trying to make it possible for everybody.
Yeah, that's exciting. And then earmark your calendar or save the date for July 22nd through the 24th in 2027, where we're going to do a really big one. We hope to have 100, plus golfers come out, content creators, have their families come out. We're doing some planning on that. We may have like a juniors tournament one day, then the main event, could be a 1 or 2 day event, but it's going to be July 22nd through the 24th of 2027. But this Creator Cup preview is being held September 25th at Tamarack Osprey Meadows in Boise, just outside of Boise, Idaho. So it's really exciting. So Richie, thanks for joining us. And we have one more cool hole that I wanted to talk about, and that's the double down. It's the 19th hole at Osprey Meadows. And, maybe we'll have a tiebreaker going into that hole. It's also called the Gambler's Hole, where you see a lot of, people gather around after their round. If they're going out for a big tournament or events, a lot of people gather around and see the showdown on the 19th hole, the double down.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it all. And we're going to make sure we have fun doing it.
So the course design is a Robert Trent Jones course.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the best architects in the game of golf, and definitely a course worthwhile checking out. And we're really excited about learning more and hearing more from you. And you guys can, again, check out golfersunite.com/creator cup. Richie, what do you think, an average golfer might go out there and shoot?
That's a really good question. I'm going to say probably high 90s, maybe. Maybe depending on how good you are. I don't know. One thing I did actually want to talk about those, the golf course, you said who it was designed by, and Osprey Meadows actually had a history prior where it was ranked, I want to say in the nation as being like one of the top 100 in the nation, like public courses. And then after that, it actually went to, it didn't do as well. Like the maintenance wasn't taken care of and whatnot. And my family actually put a lot of money into it to bring it back to its original form and open it back up 2 years ago.
Yes, I mean it's actually ranked one of the top 100 resort courses by Golf Week in 2026, and Idaho's best public course you can play on in by Golf Week as well in 2026. So depending on where we put them, I think that score can change. It's a par 73 and you can play it almost 7,500 yards from the tips with a slope rating of 142
That's
at
a
a
that's a long
5,000 foot elevation. So that number, if you take the elevation out, it's probably 6,700 yards, equivalent of, but it's still a long way from the tips.
but that means you'll be driving longer, not as much
There you
air.
go.
So, we'll all be driving 400 yards.
Exactly. So we also are going to have media come out to support the event since it's a Creator Cup preview. So if you're media and you want to come and check it out, we'd be happy to talk with you. Richie, if someone wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to contact you about the Creator Cup? If they, we gave the website away a few times, golfersunite.com/Creator Cup. But if someone wanted to reach out to you directly and have some questions,
Two best methods are probably via Instagram, Richard Lyons _loan officer, and then or email. You can get me a Gmail, which is richard.j.lyons LYONS 3@gmail.com.
So we also have lodging. You mentioned that they're discounting it 30 to 35% off. So plus the free round of golf. So it's an affordable event, especially if you're local to the Boise area. You can come in and play for the day and not have to do the comps. But we have 2-night bookings. We have 1-night bookings. And if you're local and you don't need a booking, we can accommodate there. There's a promo code right on the website, golfersunite.com/Creator Cup, and a link to do your booking. And they, talk a little bit about the real estate that's out there. You're in the real estate world. They have, beautiful homes ranging in different sizes. And plus they have, a hotel, on property.
Yeah, they do have a lodge. All the lodges are actually owned by individuals. So if they wanted to stay on Osprey Meadows on the course, they could stay at the lodge at Osprey Meadows. But the golf course also has single family residences that are really, really big, and they range probably $2, $3, $4, $5 million each. And that's actually one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to take one of the creators with us, and we're going to go tour one of these golf estate homes. And we just want to show people what the resort has to offer as far as living as well. It's not just a place of vacation, but it's a place that you can call home.
Fantastic. Well, Richie, we're really excited about this event. You got anybody that you can disclose that has made some commitments? Any creators that are going to be joining us?
I have a few, they haven't registered yet, but they have committed to register. They just want to have some Zooms with me first to get some conversations going. We have some big names with golf apparel that are actually interested in sponsoring as well. So it looks like it's gonna end up being a pretty nice event.
Yeah, so we got the golf is comped, and then we're going to provide dinner. We're going to get a sponsorship for that. And Richie, thanks for joining us again. In wrapping up, this is another episode of Let's Go Low, brought to you by Golfers Unite. We are doing this Creator Cup preview on September 25th at Tamarack Resort in Idaho. And if you want to check out that website, it's tamarackidaho.com. And if you're interested in the event, go to golfersunite.com/Creator Cup. Again, thanks Tampa for tuning in, and hopefully you guys get a chance to come and check out a beautiful golf course in the beautiful state of Idaho. This is Jeff Stanislaw signing off for another episode of Let's Go Low.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Trying to figure out why it's not stopping recording. Still says it's recording, but I can't find the button that says stop recording. It's not popping up.
People are getting some good behind the scenes action now.
Yeah, I can cut that out easily enough, but